Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and today I've just been officially updating you on some more latest news. So if you do consider drop your likes, and if you do consider subscribe to the channel as always. So I do believe that Manchester United do need at least three world-class signings, if we are to be future title contenders. Now obviously during the summer Ole Gunnar Solskjaer recommended three good players to the squad. We spent over £140 million on Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka, and of course on Harry Maguire, and we have seen glimpses of what good signings they've proven to be so far. So it is good in the aspect, that we did address some of the problematic areas. Obviously we still know these deficiencies in the squad, that do need to be addressed in January and perhaps next summer. So it's good during the summer that we did get that experienced centre half in. We also got that right back in that. But it was a shame, that we didn't address that current midfield. But I did say, due to our inconsistency, I think, everyone, has to take the blame. But as I've been saying on recent videos, I think the majority of the blame, does stem from the board, because the board didn't back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough, throughout the course of the summer, as the board did assure that, actually, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would have been backed. But the board, didn't recommend any sufficient attackers in. They didn't recommend, any sufficient midfielders in. So you can also, blame the board in that aspect. Also, Ed Woodward, some of the blame, also stems from him. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's got to take some responsibility as well. Some of the blame stems from him, because obviously, his tactics and that are questionable. And I do admit, we are tactically inept. And obviously, certain players also on that pitch, have obviously, got to take a lot of responsibility. But, it hasn't only been this summer transfer window, we haven't been competitive enough. I don't think, we've been competitive enough in the last, 4 to 5 transfer winners, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. Obviously, reflecting back in January, we didn't get anyone. Obviously, reflecting back last summer, we didn't get our number one priority targets. So I think Solskjaer was actually, talking about our recruitment policy during the summer, and analysing our recruitment policy, it isn't too good, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, we need to see further more investment in January. But I think we need at least three world-class signings. We've definitely got to try and get a midfielder in January, because that's one of the priority areas, where Manchester United do need to strengthen up. Don't forget, for the majority of the summer as well, Manchester United were in search for a right winner. Don't forget about that. But like I did say to you, I do credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in certain aspects in that. I have got some element of concerns about him. But like I do keep saying, the things I credit him for, Solskjaer, to be fair, has got a lot of faith in his young players. The majority of the young players now have been giving him a chance in that, and that's good, because obviously, they're going to gain more experience in that aspect. Like I said, we have got a lot of young players in the squad, that are developing and trying to improve at Manchester United and that. Obviously, we've got the likes of Mason Greenwood, we've got Chong, we've got Angel Gomez, we've got Tuanzebe, we've got Diego Dallo, we've got Fosu Mensah, so we have got quite a lot of young upcoming players. Maybe some Man United fans, believe maybe we should, orchestrate on loaning, some of the young upcoming players out, because it may be beneficial for their career. Also, may, in that aspect as well, gain them more experience in that. And maybe, the vast majority of the young upcoming players may not become a success at Manchester United. It may be only Mason Greenwood, that turns out the successful one at the football club. But yeah, it's good that Solskjaer's got a lot of trust with his young players, and he did also, get rid of a lot of the deadwood, during the summer, which was very, very good. Despite the fact, though, that a lot of players have now left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, I still believe, these more problematic players at the football club. But yeah, I think Manchester United, have got to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer time, to make further more investment. But I think, they actually, the board did assure them at the start of the season that regardless of what happens this season, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job, should be safe for them at least this season. But yeah, I would definitely, keep at the football club at least for this season, see who we can recommend in January and perhaps next summer. Obviously, like I said, we have enjoyed a really, really bad start to this season. Obviously, we've won 2, we've drawn 2, and we've lost 2 in the league. So in that aspect, we've only registered 8 points, and we know that's nowhere near good enough to our standards and that. But it is still, early on in the season. But like I said, Solskjaer is still in the process of rebuilding this Manchester United squad. Obviously, we failed to qualify for the Champions League. I think that's one of the main reasons, that went against us in the summer transfer window. Of getting all the players that wanted in. Because I did say, a lot of players, would have had reservations about joining the football club. With us, obviously, failing to qualify for the Champions League. I did say, some of the players, we was in for during the summer, probably, we will reignite our interest in some of them in January. Probably, we'll maybe leave quite a lot until next summer. But yeah, Solskjaer's confirmed, he does want to stick to the same policy, of recruiting young British players, like he did do, earlier on in the summer. But yeah, so and like I did initially say, at the start of the season, I also said it actually, towards the back end of last season. My expectations this season, obviously will be to get back into the Champions League and obviously, finish in that top 4. I did say, our aspirations will be that top 4 in the next couple of seasons, because analysing our squad at this present time, it isn't good enough, to currently win the league. And I don't think we'll win the league, to be quite honest with you, for the next 2 to 3 years. But yeah, we've got to get that top 4 this season. But like I did say, reflecting on the amount of money that's been spent at this football club over the years, well, in the last 6 or 7 years. Also, reflecting on the history of the club, because obviously, we are the most successful team in England historically. We should be much more of a commanding position, than winning now, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. But obviously, Solskjaer, he wants to bring that fear factor back to the football club. He wants to, bring that winning mentality back to the club. And we know none of them have been there, since the Alex Ferguson era. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, has been at Manchester United now, around 10 months. He's been at the club, so he's been at the club basically now just under a year overall. Don't forget, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got recommended in December of last year, following the dismissal of Jose Mourinho. The first Solskjaer came in as interim manager. Don't forget, he was interim manager at Manchester United for 3 months, but he got the job permanently in March early on this year, because we did really, really well in that 3-month period. But in that 3-month period when Solskjaer was the interim manager, the results were good, the performance was good. He got the best out of these group of players. He exceeded expectations when we won 14 games out of 19. But since he got the job permanently, like I said, everything was just basically seemed to have all gone wrong. But the style of players at right at the moment, the performances aren't good enough. We're not being clinical enough in front of goal. We still seem to be creating chances, but we just don't seem, to have that clinical element. And, this is a problem. And this is a problem, that Manchester United do need to justify, to be quite honest with you. Our away form's been really, really poor. We haven't won away from home, since the PSG game last season. I remember when Manchester United had produced that miraculous comeback. That's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's most iconic moment as manager. And, our home form, has also been poor. There's games, you can pinpoint out this season, that arguably, Manchester United should have won. You could say maybe we should have won at Southampton away. We should have maybe won at Wolves away. Don't forget we missed a penalty in the Wolves game earlier on in the season. I think we should have definitely won against Crystal Palace at home. Obviously, reflecting on the amount of chances Man United had, obviously, we had the majority of the possession in that game, but we ended up losing the game. So there's certain games this season, that Manchester United should have won. But I did say so far this season, I think, he's replicating, what I saw last season. Like, what I mean in that aspect is, I haven't really seen much improvements this season. But yeah, like I said, we've enjoyed a really difficult start to the season, and I did say, if this bad run of form does continue to persist, then I think, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, will be sacked by the football club. I do believe, he could be gone by Christmas. The vast majority of Manchester United fans now are demanding Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out of the football club. I think also a lot of industries, believe, he will be gone by Christmas. But like I said, I want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tenure, to become successful at Manchester United. Solskjaer is actually our 4th permanent manager since the Alex Ferguson era. Obviously, we do know that already 3 managers have been sacked by the football club. Obviously, David Moyes was sacked after he served only 10 months at Manchester United. He's the manager who's had the shortest tenure since the Alex Ferguson era. Obviously, Louis van Gaal, I think, was sacked just like after a year or so. And obviously, Jose Mourinho was sacked after he had, I think, around 2.5 years. He had a 2.5 year tenure at Manchester United in that. Like I said, under Mourinho, I think we, at the time, we recommended Jose Mourinho in too late, to be quite honest. Yeah, obviously Mourinho's got that proven pedigree. Obviously, he was one of the best managers in the world back in the day. But like I said, I think we recommended him in too late. Maybe if we'd have got Mourinho after Ferguson retired, then maybe it would have been a different story. But yeah, Mourinho, it didn't work out under him, despite the fact he won the Europa League and League Cup in his first season at Man United. But it didn't work out under him because obviously, he had bad disputes with the board. He had bad disputes with some of the top players. Obviously there was no sort of philosophy under Mourinho. That he was part of the bus footballer under Jose Mourinho. So these are the reasons, why it didn't work out under him. And obviously the board weren't backing the signings, that he wanted to recommend in to the football club last summer. But yeah. And, like I said, we haven't really got the structure, to keep sacking managers. And, I do love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a lot anyway. He was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years. He flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance. So, yeah, as a player, he's got that proven pedigree. But, he hasn't got really that managerial experience. So that's also another element of concern. That's another element of concern. But if you do ask me, I don't think it's going to work out under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and that. But I think, the board as well, they do need to assure structural changes at the football club. They do need to assure structural changes at the football club. Whether they're going to make these structural changes or not, I do not know. But yeah, definitely Solskjaer needs backing more in January and perhaps next summer. Don't forget, throughout the course of the summer as well, Manchester United were in search for a new director of football, and I did initially say that's one of the structural changes that Manchester United do need is getting a director of football, and that like I said, we need to recommend someone who's reliable enough to oversee our transfer business. There was quite a few former Man United players linked with the director's role at Man United earlier on in the summer. Reports were speculating out the other week saying actually that Ed Woodward is still looking to appoint a new director of football into the football club. But you could arguably say maybe if we'd got that director of football in, then maybe in that aspect, during the summer, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would have been backed more. But yeah, and obviously we do know that Manchester United, we've got a massive game tomorrow evening at home to Arsenal. Obviously, it's an imperative game, that Manchester United, have to basically win. We have to win the game, obviously, if we do want to keep our hopes up, for the top four. We have got quite a few injuries, as you all know. Rashford will not be playing in the game tomorrow evening. Rashford's obviously not out over groin problem. Obviously, he came off injured in the 2-0 defeat to West Ham, don't forget. And I don't think Rashford's been great this season, to be quite honest. I think he's been, he's done okay in parts, but I don't think he's performed. He hasn't played to his potential best as Rashford. But despite that, he hasn't been that good. I still think he's the long-term solution for Manchester United. Rashford so far has spent the entirety of his career with Man United. He's been at the club since he was 7 years old. Obviously, he's been in the senior squad, since 2016. Don't forget, Rashford scored on his Europa League debut against Midtjylland. He scored twice on his Premier League debut against Arsenal back in February 2016 and that. So they're moments of quality, we have seen from Marcus Rashford and that. Don't forget, he also scored in his first ever Manchester derby. But, he's been really, he hasn't been good this season so far, really. He wasn't too good towards the back end of last season. Don't forget, Rashford signed a new long-term contract earlier on in the summer. But yeah, he hasn't been too good. And like I said, I think at the moment, Mason Greenwood is a much better solution than Marcus Rashford. Mason Greenwood has obviously, scored 2 goals in his last 2 games for the football club. Obviously, he started the Rochdale game, started the FC Astana game, and Mason Greenwood, of course, scored in both of them. So he's come up with a moment of quality, which is good. Mason Greenwood, I think he definitely, can become a success at Manchester United. I think, by the time he's 23, 24, around my age, I think, he will be a world-class centre forward. Solskjaer did give his alright review on Mason Greenwood, and he said, basically, it's impossible to leave him out of the team, if he does, keep scoring. And obviously, anyway, if he's to keep the consistency up, Solskjaer has assured that Mason Greenwood, will get more minutes under his belt. But for me, he does have to start the game against Arsenal, does Mason Greenwood. He has to start the game against Arsenal, in my opinion. Yeah, and like I said, with Martial, he's obviously got a thigh injury, so it's unlikely that Martial will be playing tomorrow against Arsenal. Martial, I think's missed the last 4 games in all competitions. Like I said, Martial is a very very imperative player for the football club. Martial's very, very imperative player for the football club. Martial now obviously is into his 5th season as a Manchester United player. I think he scored more than 50 goals for the club in all competitions. Obviously, don't forget he signed a new deal back in January, but he has missed the last 4 games in all competitions. Martial predominantly plays out wide on the left, but it got confirmed at the start of the season. They had initially, been given her that number 9 shirt, because for me, Martial, does seem to be more effective in that central position. He is more effective in that central position. That's I think for this season, when Martial regains full fitness, obviously he will be playing centrally, because he's more of a standout player in that central position. Martial and Rashford, are compatible in that aspect, because Martial can play centrally and out wide, Rashford can play centrally and out wide, and all that. But I don't know Rashford's preferred position, to be quite honest with you. And for the majority of this season, Rashford will probably find himself playing on the flank. Obviously, when Martial is fully fit. But yeah, Martial obviously, I think before he sustained his injury, I think he enjoyed a pretty good start to this season. That obviously scored his 50th goal against Wolves. And I think, what I've seen of him this season, I think, before he sustained his injury, that is, he's replicating, what he did in his debut season at the football club, under the Louis van Gaal era. I think he smashed 17 goals in his debut season. Don't forget, we got Martial as a 19-year-old. I think the club initially paid around, was it £50 million for him? But like I said, based on his good performances, I think his valuation will persistently grow. He's had some bad spells as a Manchester United player. Like I said, he had a bad spell under Mourinho. But yeah, and obviously, Martial did actually score on his Premier League debut against Liverpool, and obviously, that was back in 2015. Under the Louis van Gaal era. Some people criticise him and don't think he's that good, but I think he's a really, really good player. He's Anthony Martial, but he will not be available against Arsenal. Luke Shaw, now, we do know, obviously, he's out with a hamstring injury now. He's also missed the last 4 games in all competitions, and, Luke Shaw is a very, very imperative player. He's a very, very imperative player. Obviously, reflecting on his good performances last season, Luke Shaw, won the double player of the season. He's had some bad spells during his Man United tenure. He sustained quite a few injuries. Obviously he had a bad spell under Mourinho, but prior to that, I think Luke Shaw's been mainly consistent, and obviously, he is my first choice left back. And we had, I interpreted, some of the stuff that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer mentioned in his press conference building up to the Arsenal game, and he did say that Luke Shaw has returned back to training. He has been working really, really hard, and we hope to see him for the international break. But I think this particular game against Arsenal's come too soon for Luke Shaw, so he's probably not going to be available. Like I said, Angel Gomez and Diego Dalot, they're 2 young upcoming players. Obviously, Solskjaer's confirmed that that the duo are set to miss this game tomorrow evening, because they are injured. It did initially say Angel Gomez is going to be a big part of the squad this season. Obviously he's another one via midfield options. Angel Gomez actually played in the game against West Ham. played in the game against West Ham, and Diego Dalot, obviously he's only made one appearance for the club so far this season. Obviously he did make that appearance against FC Stania, but he definitely will get more opportunities this season. Will Diego Dalot? He's obviously one of our backup options in that fullback position. But yeah, and we know that Eric Bailly is a long-term absence. He's out, I think, until the end of December or the new year with a knee injury, as you all know. So obviously, he's a long-term absence. And Fosu Mensah, it's been confirmed, now that he's also, returned back to training. Don't forget Fosu Mensah returned to the club early on in the summer because last season he had been on loan with Fulham, and I think he actually sustained this particular injury whilst he was on loan with Fulham. I think it is a knee injury that Fosu Mensah has got. Bad news, like I said, in regards to Paul Pogba. Obviously, we do know that Paul Pogba has got an ankle injury. Well, he initially regained full fitness. Obviously, he was back in the starting 11 against Rochdale. Obviously, earlier on this week, he was back in the starting 11. But Solskjaer did confirm, obviously, that he did play the full 90 minutes against Rochdale, but he sustained a knock, after, the Rochdale game and that. So obviously, it's more than likely, he's ruled out for the game against Arsenal. So in that aspect, anyway, with the injuries we've got, obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got to make alterations in the squad. Paul Pogba, don't forget, had to withdraw from the France squad the other week. Obviously, due to an ankle injury, and he would have been infuriated in that aspect because, Paul Pogba, does like to represent France. But yeah, we have got quite a few injuries. But yeah, it's going to be a very, very tough game against Arsenal. Obviously, Unai Emery now is in his second season with Arsenal, and obviously you've got the vast majority of Arsenal fans, demanding, Unai Emery out if Arsenal, do not, get Champions League football, and obviously if they do fail to get into the top four. Now, obviously Arsenal enjoyed a pretty disappointing season last season, just like Manchester United. Obviously, Arsenal, failed to get in that top four. Obviously, they lost the Europa League final last season to Chelsea. But I'll credit Arsenal in the aspect, that they did, a good investment, during the summer. After it only allegedly said that, Arsenal had only been given they'd been given a tight budget, they'd only been given from around 40 to 45 million pounds to spend on players. But yeah, they did good investment during the summer. They spent a substantial amount on Nicolas Pepe. I think they spent around 70 odd million pounds on Nicolas Pepe. They did get Kieran Tierney in from Celtic on deadline day. I think they paid around 25 million for him. Obviously, he's predominantly a left back, but Arsenal did get him in. I think they got William Saliba in, but I think he's been loaned back to St Etienne for the rest of this season. Don't forget, they also got Daniel Ceballos in from Real Madrid on loan. They also got David Luiz in. So Arsenal, did a good investment in that, and it's it's going to be a tough game on Monday. We usually, we have got a good record over Arsenal. Especially at Old Trafford. Like I said, this is a statistic. Arsenal have not won at Old Trafford, in the Premier League since 2006. Obviously, that's 13 years ago now. They haven't beat us at Old Trafford all in all, since, 2015, when they did beat us in the FA Cup. Obviously, that was back under the Louis van Gaal Moreira. That was, back under the Louis van Gaal Moreira. But I think, we sit around 3 points behind Arsenal in the table. But it's a game, obviously, Man United had to win. Obviously, the game last season at Old Trafford, like I said, was 2-2. But like I said, this fixture, this fixture is not iconic as it was, back in, the day, when we had Alex Ferguson, obviously, when they, obviously, had Arsene Wenger, the two longest serving managers, in English football, I'd say, Ferguson served 26, 27 years at Man United, Arsene Wenger served around 22 years at Arsenal, and that. Analysing Wenger's tenure when he was at Arsenal, his 22-year tenure, I think he had, 12, 13 good years, but then after that, obviously, you got the vast majority of Arsenal fans, demanding him out and that. But it took a while, for Arsenal, to get him out of their football club. Yeah, and it was a really, really good fixture back in the old generation. It was basically a title decider. Man United and Arsenal. Back in the day. So it's always still a good fixture though. Is Manchester United versus Arsenal. But this is again definitely that Manchester United have to win. We've got to go out there and put a performance out. If we've got any chances, of getting a win or registering any points from this particular game. Registering many points, for this particular game, and this is actually our 7th game of the Premier League season. But we have got games coming up thick and fast. Arsenal tomorrow. Then 3 days later we go away to Alkmaar in the Europa League. That's another particular game. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to go more with the youth. And then obviously 3 days after that we go to Newcastle away. And then obviously, after that, we've got an international break, and then after the international break, we have got a massive game against Liverpool. I think it is Old Trafford. But I think, for me, the players, that should play against Arsenal. Obviously, we'll see how Maguire and Victor Lindelof, they'll return to the starting 11. Obviously, they're arrested against Rochdale and that. But obviously, Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof are Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first choice centre-backs. And I think, to be fair, they're both blended in really, really well, mainly this season. They're complementing each other fantastically well, which is good to see. And obviously, Wan-Bissaka will keep his place in the team. He is our first choice right-back. Surprisingly, played against Rochdale earlier on this week. I probably believe, maybe in the game against Arsenal that probably Ashley Young, will play him at left back. Obviously, due to the absence of Luke Shaw, Diego Dalot, unless Rojo, gets the opportunity, because don't forget Rojo can play him as a left back. Rojo has played twice for Man United this season. As well, Jones, he won't play in this game. Obviously, Jones has also, played twice this season. I want McTominay, to play in this game. McTominay didn't play against Rochdale, but I think analysing his performances this season, McTominay, does deserve to keep his place in the team, because I think McTominay has been very, very good this season. Within regards to him being a long-term solution for Man United, I have got element concerns about that. And these question marks around him, can he keep the consistency up? But, I think so far this season he's done really, really well. For the majority of this season so far, McTominay has been mainly playing alongside Paul Pogba, but due to the absentee of Paul Pogba quite recently, he has actually been playing alongside Matic as McTominay. But yeah, he deserves to keep his place in the team. I would probably go with Fred. I would play him as well. I know he didn't put a great performance out against Rochdale, but I think the last couple of games before the Rochdale game, I thought, Fred, did really, really well. So I think, we need to see more of Fred this season anyway. I think he's a much better solution than Nemanja Matic, because he's more mobile and better on the ball than Matic. I think any of our midfielders, are much better options than Matic in that. But we need to see more of Fred. And I think, Matic, shouldn't play in this game. He could play in this game, whether he does or not, I do not know. So, whether he does or not, I do not know. Jesse Lingard now. I know Jesse Lingard's goal scoring, form against Arsenal, he's really, really good. I think he scored 4 goals in all competitions against Arsenal. Scored quite a few times against them last season, but Jesse Lingard has enjoyed a really, really bad start to this season. I'd still say it's a long-term solution for Man United in that, and I did say reflecting on his status at the football club, and also he's on around 100 grand a week. Lingard should be putting much more better performances out. Maybe I would go with Lingard in this game. Also too, Andres Pereira now, I think he's also been very, very poor this season. The games he's played for Man United, but we still need to give Andres Pereira time, because he's still only very, very young. He's still only very, very young. And Dan James, he definitely, will be starting this game. He's enjoyed a magnificent, start to his Manchester United career. Dan James has scored 3 goals so far this season. So in that aspect, obviously, that means he's joint top goal scorer alongside Marcus Rashford. Daniel James, he's becoming a fruition at Manchester United, and this season, so far Man United this season, he's replicating what he did with Swansea, last season. Don't forget, he only made his senior debut back in February 2018, and he scored on his competitive debut for Man United against Chelsea on the opening day the Premier League season and that. But yeah, this is the Man United have to win. But like I said to you, regardless who our manager is, even if we had, a manager to the highest level with a proven pedigree, they still wouldn't replicate, what we did under Alex Ferguson. No one is going to ever, follow Alex Ferguson's legacy. And don't forget, take into account, Ferguson, didn't win out in his first 4 years at Manchester United. Don't forget, he didn't win out in his first 4 years. When we recommended him in from Aberdeen back in 1985, 1986, and then he didn't get, he was on the verge of getting the sack, but he didn't. And then look, obviously, what Ferguson went and accomplished, and that, we had 20 odd years of success under him and that. But yeah, for me, Solskjaer, does need more time at the football club, because the majority of this squad is not easy. He's still inheriting a lot of players from the Jose Mourinho era. He's still inheriting some players here from the Van Gaal era. There's still Matt here from the David Moyes era, and there's still players here, you don't forget, from the Alex Ferguson era and that. So yeah, we need to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer more time at the football club. And like I said, a lot of players have left now since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival. Obviously, we're doing that Antonio Valencia left at the end of last season after he served 10 years at Man United. Obviously, we know Chris Smalling got loaned out to Roma for just under £3 million. Darmian went to Parma for just over £1 million. Obviously, Ander Herrera and Marion Fellaini, left. Ander Herrera left early on in the summer. He went to PSG on a free transfer. Fellaini left Man United in January. He went to China. Sanchez and Lukaku left the football club there. Both went to Inter Milan. So in that aspect, obviously, they're reuniting together. Obviously, we loaned a couple of goalkeepers out as well. Dean Henson is now on loan with Sheffield United. I think that's good in that aspect, because it's going to gain more experience. Dean Henson's still very, very young. And I think Joe Prairie, went out on loan to Hearts in Scotland. So, like I said, Italy has been a popular destination this summer, for the vast majority of our players that have left. Around 4 of our players have gone to Italy. But yeah, we did get that. We did get that summer clear out. That we did demand, during the summer, which was really, really good. But in January, we need to focus more on the incomings, and we also need to focus more on the outgoings as well. To me, these still problematic players in the football club. I think Jones is one of the problematic players. I think also Rojo, he's another problematic player. I think them two need to be moved on in January or next summer, and we could cash in for both of them, because Rojo's just got under 2 years left on his contract. Phil Jones signed a new long-term contract with the club last season. I said, in the Cup and the Europa League games, the likes of Jones and Rojo will get their chances in that. But I just don't think they're no longer good enough to represent Man United. I'll credit Rojo though. He did well throughout pre-season. He actually did well in the game against Rochdale early on this week, and his versatility is very, very good, because Rojo can play in various positions in that back line. But don't forget, Everton, and don't forget, inquired about getting Rojo on deadline day. And yeah, I think also too, Ashley Young, he's another player. I think this probably should be his last season at Manchester United, if I'm going to be quite honest with you Ashley Young. Should be his last season as a Manchester United player, basically. Young has been a long-serving player at the football club. This is Young's 9th season out at Man United, and he has been here 8 years. But I think Ashley Young has passed his sell-by date. Obviously, that's reflecting on his age, because he's now 34. I think he's 35 next year. And obviously, he was our first choice right back last season, was Young. Like I said, he's been playing on a regular basis in the league recently due to the absence of Luke Shaw. But yeah, should be moved on at the end of the season, I should presume. Matic, he's another problematic player. Matic has got, he's got under a year left in his contract, so Matic's contract does expire at the end of the season, but we do have an option to extend his contract by a further year. Matic is now 31 years of age, and he's not getting any younger. I think analysing the majority of Matic's career, I think he's been mainly inconsistent. There has been parts where he has done well, so we're seeing glimpses of how good he can be. He can pass the ball well at times and that, but for me, he's just too slow. For me, he's just too slow. And I give you the news, didn't I? In regards to Paul Pogba yesterday. Obviously, we do know that Paul Pogba, was relentlessly linked to a move to Real Madrid for the entirety of the summer. Paul Pogba, does still want to leave the football club in January. Solskjaer, recently spoke about this, the situation with Paul Pogba. He insists that Paul Pogba is not going to be for sale in January, and I think he recently notified Real Madrid, that Paul Pogba is going nowhere. And I'm glad, we convinced Paul Pogba to stay at the football club, at least for this summer, especially with our failure to land a midfielder in. Yeah, and I think it did, and as you said that that Juventus are planning to make a move for Paul Pogba in January, because there was rumours of also him making a return back to Turin during the summer. Don't forget, Paul Pogba did have 4 good years in Turin with Juventus, but he hasn't mainly replicated this at Manchester United. Now, I think Man United have made contact with Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, to discuss Paul Pogba's future and over the possibility of extending his contract at Manchester United. Now, we do know Paul Pogba's got 2 years left on his current deal with the football club, with an option, to extend it by a further year. And as it stands at the moment, Paul Pogba is on around 290 grand a week at the football club. So in that aspect, he is, one of the highest paid players. Now, I've been reading recent reports, and now Paul Pogba is demanding a substantial £30 million a year if he is to renew his contract at Manchester United. So, £30 million a year, I think equates weekly to around £600,000 a week. But I can't see, Man United willing to give him this, even though, we have got the financial power, to meet these demands, because obviously, we're a massive club, and obviously, we've got massive revenues, so we can afford to meet these wage demands. And anywhere, as it stands at the moment, we have got players on big contracts and that, but for me, Paul Pogba is demanding too much. Now, obviously, there was quite a few teams in for Pogba, during the summer. There was quite a few teams in for him, it was mainly Real Madrid that were in for him, but, there were also Juventus. I think also PSG were in for him. Don't forget, he did say that allegedly Paul Pogba had agreed a move to PSG, on deadline day, but reportedly his move to PSG never materialised due to the Neymar saga. I think also, Barcelona were in for him. So yeah, there was quite a few teams in for him. Like I did say, the stumbling block of Paul Pogba's move to Real Madrid during the summer, obviously, was reflecting on the substantial amount that Man United put on him, because obviously, we quoted out that we wanted around £180 million. So in that aspect, we was demanding just over double than what we paid for him from Juventus back in 2016, because obviously the club paid £89 million for Paul Pogba, and obviously Paul Pogba is our most expensive signing. Real Madrid, we're not willing to pay up to £180 million for him, and I think if we are to soften our stance on Pogba in January, we will demand the same sort of figure, for Paul Pogba. Real Madrid spent a substantial amount during the summer. They spent around £300 million on 5 players. They did sell some players, so they did generate, some of the money back. But Pogba's preference is a move to Real Madrid, as he confirmed this early on this summer. But he confirmed back in June that he wants to leave Man United, and he did say he was seeking for a new challenge, and he wanted to leave the club basically, to rejuvenate his career. But I did give you the reasons, why probably Paul Pogba wants out of the football club, because maybe he's frustrated with lack of competitiveness. Maybe he does want to be playing amongst better players. Maybe he wants to be playing amongst better players. Maybe he wants to be in Champions League football and that. So these are the reasons probably why he wants out of the football club. And Paul Pogba's 26 years of age. He has still got a lot of development in him and that. And we have seen Paul Pogba at his best as a Manchester United player. You mainly see the best of Pogba when he's freed up. He can score goals, he can provide in that, and he's arguably one of the best midfielders in the world, when he's at his potential best, Paul Pogba. Pogba now is into his 4th season as a Manchester United player since he rejoined from Juventus back in 2016. And obviously he's won the Europa League. He's won the Europa League and the League Cup with us. That came in Pogba's 2nd season at the football club. But I still believe probably Paul Pogba will leave in January. If he doesn't leave in January, I think he will leave next summer. he will leave next summer. But, reflecting back last summer, Paul Pogba was subjected to a lot of transfer speculation. Obviously, reflecting on his bad relationship with Jose Mourinho. And Paul Pogba got one of his best wishes, of course, when Jose Mourinho left the football club. But also, don't forget, Real Madrid. Also, Christian Eriksen was also on Real Madrid's agenda. Obviously, Paul Pogba's their preference over Christian Eriksen, but if we can renew Paul Pogba's contract, then I did say Real Madrid's then alternative, will be to go for Christian Eriksen at the end of the season when his current deal, does expire with Tottenham. But yeah. And like I did say, a lot of money's been spent at Manchester United in the last, 6 or 7 years or so. Like I said, over £140 million has been spent this summer under Solskjaer. Just under £400 million was spent under Mourinho. £200 million was spent under Van Gaal. Around £67 million was spent under Moyes. So we've spent around nearly £900 million in the last 6 or 7 years or so in all the managerial eras. So that's just under £1 billion that the football club have spent. And that's obviously, disregarding what was spent under Ferguson. If you obviously want to take into account what was spent under Ferguson, obviously it's way over £1 billion, that the football club have spent. And like Solskjaer said early on in the summer, he was looking to build a squad, worthy of the club's history. He wanted to bring players in who he thinks are going to fit the culture of the football club. And there's been cultural problems at Manchester United, for the last 6 or 7 years. But the question is, do you think that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer revolution is working at Manchester United? And that is the question. But like I did say, I was reading reports. I think it was early on this week. I think it was early on this week that Solskjaer identified a couple of strikers, he would like to sign in January, and he reportedly said it was Ousmane Dembele from Barcelona and Mario Mandzukic from Juventus. Now, Ousmane Dembele, I think, he's got a record of injuries, since he became a Barcelona player. I think he's sustained about 8 injuries as a Barcelona player, so has definitely, become injury prone. Barcelona did pay a substantial amount for Ousmane Dembele. I think they paid around €105 million for him. We are aware if we've got any chances of getting Ousmane Dembele in January, obviously Man United are going to have to pay a substantial amount for him. He's probably going to cost us in the excess of around £100 million. Obviously, we're doing that. Mario Mandzukic would be a much cheaper solution than Ousmane Dembele. It's obviously reflects on his age. Mario Mandzukic is 33. Don't get me wrong. I admire his career. He's had a really, really good career. But I think Man United have got element of concerns about recommending Mario Mandzukic, and that's obviously reflecting on his age. Don't forget the club went in for Mario Mandzukic towards the back end of the window. So do you think Mario Mandzukic or Ousmane Dembele, do you think any of them would be good adequate replacements for Romelu Lukaku? Because like I said, following the dismissal of Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez, a lot of people now do believe we are lacking in that. We are lacking in that attacking line. Obviously, so far this season, we've only managed 8 goals in the Premier League, so that is very, very bad. That is very, very bad, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. But like I did say, despite our bad start to the season, Man United are still backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and Ed Woodward is still convinced, that he can turn things around at the football club. But yeah, so for me, Man United do need at least 3 world-class signings. Solskjaer did say at the start of the summer, before he brought Dan James, Harry Maguire, and Wan-Bissaka in, that he wanted to bring at least 5 new additions to the squad. I think the 3 players that were brought in, have done really, really well so far. A lot of people believe that actually Wan-Bissaka has been our most consistent signing. But yeah, very, very big game tomorrow against Arsenal. Like I said, I think on a regular basis this season, Solskjaer, like I keep saying, will go with the 4-2-3-1. He'll go with the 4-3-3 quite a few times, as he already has done, this season. But I think he'll mainly, go with that 4-2-3-1. And a lot of people believe that system suits us more, than the 4-3-3. But yeah, so there is a lot of questions, around Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tactics in that. I think the personnel's there. It's just that, we seem to be, tactically inept, and obviously, that is Maruri. But like I said, if we continue this bad run of form, we could enjoy a worse season this season than what we saw last season. Because last season, we can't get any worse than last season. Because last season, I think we finished 6th. We finished around 32 points behind Man City. But yeah, so anyway guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do consider a subscriber, as always, and take care, God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.